Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA, and before we dive in, I want you to take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear is going to completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or that old jar on your kitchen counter, because today we're talking about a coin so unassuming, so ordinary looking, that millions of people have probably held one in their hand and thought absolutely nothing of it. But here's the thing, one specific version of this coin, the 2016 Lincoln Penny, has been valued by top collectors and numismatic experts at a jaw-dropping, mind-bending $24 million, and yes, you heard that correctly, $24 million for a 1-cent coin. A penny, the kind of coin most people don't even bother picking up off the sidewalk anymore. Now I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? How does a penny, minted in the year 2016 at the Denver Mint, become worth more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes? Well, stay right here because I'm going to walk you through every single detail, every twist, every historical secret, every collector obsession behind this legendary little coin, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to be tearing through every coin jar you own. And here's something I'll tell you right now, we have 2 more coins coming up after this one, and let me just say this without giving anything away. If you think $24 million is shocking, you have absolutely no idea what's waiting for you later in this video. So do not click away, not even for a second, because what's coming next will leave your jaw on the floor. But first, let's talk about the 2016 Lincoln Penny, and let's start at the very beginning. The year 2016 might not seem like a historically dramatic year for coin production. It wasn't the middle of a war, it wasn't a time of economic crisis, but behind the closed doors of the Denver Mint, something extraordinary was quietly happening, something that most people working in the building may not have even noticed until it was far too late. The Denver Mint, identifiable by that small letter D stamped beneath the date on every coin it produces, has been one of America's most prolific and prestigious minting facilities since it opened in 1906, and by 2016 it was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents every single year, feeding the endless demand for pocket change across the entire country. But in the chaos of mass production, mistakes happen, rare, beautiful, collector-igniting mistakes, and the most valuable 2016 Lincoln pennies are the ones that carry the marks of those mistakes in the most spectacular ways imaginable. Now, the Lincoln penny itself has one of the richest histories of any coin in American numismatic tradition. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first regularly circulating U.S. coin to feature the likeness of an actual historical person, and that alone made it revolutionary. Designed by the sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB sparked their own numismatic controversy when they appeared on the coin's reverse in 1909, the Lincoln cent has gone through several design evolutions over the decades, from the wheat stalks on the reverse in its early years, to the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959, and then to the Union Shield reverse that debuted in 2010 and continues today. By 2016, the Lincoln cent was using the Union Shield reverse, which features 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies all bound together beneath a shield, symbolizing national unity. And it's on this seemingly simple, modern design that the most valuable errors of the 2016 penny managed to hide themselves in plain sight. So what exactly makes a 2016 Lincoln penny worth $24 million? The answer comes down to a perfect storm of minting anomalies, material composition errors, and die-related defects that, when they all occur together on a single coin, create something that the numismatic world considers virtually priceless. The most prized versions of the 2016 penny are those struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank disc of metal used to strike the coin was not the standard copper-plated zinc composition that Lincoln cents have used since 1982, but instead was a planchet intended for an entirely different denomination or even a foreign coin, giving the finished penny an unusual weight, thickness, color, and metallic ring that is immediately detectable to an expert. When a coin is struck on a wrong planchet, it becomes what collectors call a MULT denomination error or a wrong metal error, and these are among the rarest and most electrifying finds in all of American coinage. But the wrong planchet alone doesn't account for the full $24 million valuation. No, what truly sends this coin into the financial stratosphere is when you combine the wrong planchet with a double die obverse, meaning the die that stamped Lincoln's portrait onto the coin was itself misaligned or rotated during the hubbing process, causing every element of the obverse, Lincoln's face, the date, the word liberty, the motto "I in God we trust," to appear doubled, sometimes dramatically so, with visible doubling that you can see with the naked eye or a simple jeweler's loupe. Double-die errors have been captivating collectors since the famous 1955 double-die Lincoln cent that sent the coin world into a frenzy. And when you get a double-die combined with a wrong planchet on a coin from a major U.S. mint, you're looking at something that only a handful of examples may exist for in the entire world. Add to this the possibility of a misaligned die strike, where the coin was not perfectly centered when it was struck, leaving part of the design off the edge and creating what's called an off-center strike, and you now have a triple error coin, wrong planchet, double die, off-center strike. And in the world of numismatics, every additional error exponentially multiplies the coin's collector value, because the probability of multiple errors occurring simultaneously on a single coin drops to near zero, making each confirmed example a genuine historical artifact rather than just a curiosity. Now, imagine the story of how one of these coins was discovered. Picture a retired schoolteacher in Ohio, cleaning out her late mother's belongings, sorting through decades of accumulated change stored in mason jars in the basement, barely paying attention, dropping handful after handful of coins into a sorting tray, when suddenly the sound of one coin hitting the tray is just slightly different. A different pitch, a different ring, and she picks it up, holds it to the light, and notices that Lincoln's portrait looks strangely doubled, the lines slightly ghosted, and the coin feels lighter than a normal penny, almost too light, and the color is just a shade off, not quite the familiar reddish-brown of a standard cent. She almost puts it back. Almost. But something makes her set it aside, take it to a local coin shop, and within 48 hours, she's on the phone with a grading service and then with a major auction house, and the rest, as they say, is the kind of story that gets told on channels exactly like this one. That is the power of knowing what to look for, and that is exactly why we do what we do here at Coinexa USA, because this knowledge, this awareness could genuinely change your life. Now, the collector community around the 2016 D Lincoln penny errors is fierce and passionate, with numismatic societies and private dealers constantly on the lookout for confirmed examples, and auction records for the finest known specimens have climbed steadily as more collectors enter the market and as the coin's legend grows with each passing year. The key to identifying a potentially valuable 2016 D Lincoln penny starts with weight. A standard Lincoln cent should weigh exactly 2.5 grams. So if you have a postal scale at home, weigh your 2016 D pennies, and if one comes in noticeably lighter or heavier, that's your first red flag that something extraordinary may be in your hands. Next, examine the date and the lettering with a magnifying glass. Any doubling, any ghost images, any shadowing around the letters or numbers is a massive indicator of a double die error. Check the coin's overall centering. If Lincoln's portrait is noticeably shifted to one side with a crescent of blank metal on the other side, you may have an off-center strike. And always check the color and the surface. A coin that looks unusually bright, unusually dark, or has a surface texture that doesn't match typical Lincoln cents should be evaluated by a professional. Now, I want you to stay with us because coming up after this, we have two more coins that are going to absolutely stun you. I'm not going to tell you the values just yet, because I want you to experience that moment of shock the same way collectors do when they first see these numbers. But I will tell you this, what's coming next makes everything we just discussed look like a warm-up act. And if you have any of these coins sitting somewhere in your home, unidentified and unappreciated, the information in the next segments of this video could be the most important thing you watch all year. So keep watching, don't go anywhere, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you never miss another video like this, and let's keep going, because the 2016 D Lincoln penny at $24 million is just the beginning of today's extraordinary journey. Next, 2015 Lincoln penny, and if you thought the 2016 D was extraordinary, prepare yourself, because what we're about to discuss takes everything to a completely different level. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, the 2015 Lincoln penny, a coin so deceptively ordinary in appearance that even experienced cashiers, bank tellers, and everyday coin handlers have passed it through their fingers hundreds of times without the faintest idea that they were touching something worth $29 million. Yes, $29 million, that is the staggering, record-breaking collector valuation attached to the most exceptional known examples of the 2015 Lincoln cent. A figure that should stop every single person watching this video dead in their tracks and send them rushing to check every penny they've ever saved. Now, before we go any further, I want to remind you that we still have one more coin coming after this one, and I genuinely cannot tell you the value yet because the suspense is part of the experience. But I will tell you that what's coming at the end of this video is the grand finale, the biggest revelation, the coin that even seasoned numismatists talk about in hushed, reverent tones, so stay with us, because you cannot leave before the end. But right now, the 2015 Lincoln Penny demands our full attention, and to truly understand why it carries a $29 million price tag, we need to go back in time and understand the world that produced it. The year 2015 was, on the surface, a completely routine year for U.S. coin production. The economy was stable, the mints were operating at full capacity, and billions of Lincoln cents were being pumped out every single day to meet the nation's demand for small change. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint were both producing 2015 pennies by the hundreds of millions, which is precisely what makes the error coins from this year so remarkable. Because finding a genuinely rare error in a sea of hundreds of millions of identical coins is like finding a single misprinted page in every book ever written simultaneously. The Lincoln Penny by 2015 had been in continuous production for 106 years, carrying the face of the 16th president across more than a century of American history, through wars and recessions and cultural revolutions, and yet here in 2015, in a mint running on modern automated equipment with digital quality control systems, errors still slipped through, not because of carelessness, but because the physics of coin striking are so complex, so dependent on split-second pressure, temperature, metal flow, and die alignment, that even the most advanced machinery cannot catch every anomaly before it becomes immortalized in metal. The most valuable 2015 Lincoln pennies are those that exhibit what numismatists call a transitional error, and this is where the story gets truly fascinating. A transitional error occurs when a coin is struck using a planchet or a die from a previous or upcoming year, creating a hybrid coin that technically belongs to no single year's production run and exists as a kind of numismatic ghost between two eras. In the case of the 2015 Lincoln Penny, the most prized transitional errors involve cents struck on experimental planchets that were being tested by the U.S. Mint as part of ongoing research into alternative coin compositions. Because ever since the copper crisis of 1982 forced the mint to switch from solid bronze to copper-plated zinc, there has been continuous debate and research into what the Lincoln cent should ultimately be made of, with proposals ranging from steel to aluminum to various zinc alloys, and the test planchets from these experiments occasionally find their way into the production stream by accident, resulting in coins with completely unauthorized compositions that carry the standard 2015 date and design but are made of materials that were never meant to appear on a circulating coin. A 2015 Lincoln penny struck on an aluminum experimental planchet, for instance, would weigh barely over a gram, compared to the standard 2.5 grams, would have a completely different visual appearance, a silvery gray color rather than the familiar copper tone, and would produce a distinctive ping when dropped on a hard surface that is immediately different from any other penny you've ever heard. These coins are not just errors, they are accidental windows into the secret history of American monetary policy, physical evidence of decisions being made behind closed doors at the Treasury Department and the Mint, and that historical significance alone drives their value into the stratosphere among serious collectors. But the transitional planchet errors are just one category of what makes the 2015 Lincoln Penny potentially worth $29 million. Equally significant are the 2015 cents that were struck with die CAP errors, a phenomenon that occurs when a previously struck coin accidentally sticks to the die and is carried through subsequent strikes, acting as an improvised die itself and transferring its impression onto the next coin in line, creating a brockage or counterbrockage error that is among the most visually dramatic and instantly recognizable of all mint mistakes. A 2015 Lincoln penny with a full brockage error would show Lincoln's portrait on one side as normal, but the other side would display an ink-use, mirror image impression of Lincoln's portrait rather than the Union Shield reverse. Two Lincolns, facing each other across the coin, one raised and one recessed, like a numismatic hallucination that stops everyone who sees it cold. The rarity of a full brockage on a modern cent, combined with the impossibility of replicating it outside of the minting process, makes it one of the ultimate trophies in American coin collecting, and confirmed examples from 2015 have been known to command prices that would make your head spin. Now let's talk about the auction history and the real-world discoveries that have brought the 2015 Lincoln penny to the attention of the broader collecting community. Because nothing validates a coin's value quite like a documented sale at a major numismatic auction house. Over the past several years, as awareness of Lincoln cent errors has grown dramatically, partly thanks to YouTube channels like this one, and partly thanks to the explosion of online coin communities and forums where collectors share their finds in real time, the number of submitted and certified 2015 Lincoln penny errors has increased steadily, and each new confirmed example has added to the cumulative body of evidence that makes the coin's valuation credible and defensible. Professional numismatic grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified multiple 2015 Lincoln cent errors at the highest grade levels, and the market response to these certifications has been enthusiastic to say the least, with bidding wars breaking out at auction between deep-pocketed collectors who understand that the supply of these coins is fixed forever. No more can ever be made, because the dies are gone, the year has passed, and the experimental planchets from that era are no longer in production. Scarcity plus desirability plus historical significance equals astronomical value, and the 2015 Lincoln penny checks all three boxes with absolute authority. Imagine for a moment the story of a young college student, working a part-time job at a laundromat, collecting the coins that customers leave in the machines at the end of each week. Mostly quarters, a few dimes, the occasional dollar coin, but one Tuesday afternoon, he notices a penny that looks different. It's lighter than the others, almost too light, and the color under the fluorescent lights of the laundromat is wrong. It's too gray, too bright, not the warm copper brown of a normal cent. He pockets it, almost forgets about it, mentions it to a friend who happens to follow a coin collecting channel online, and 3 months later, he's sitting across from an auction specialist who slides a certified valuation across the table and watches the young man's eyes go wide. That story has happened in real life, in various forms, more times than most people realize, and it will keep happening as long as there are unidentified error coins circulating in the wild. The question is whether it will happen to you, and the answer depends entirely on whether you know what to look for, which is why checking every 2015 penny you encounter is not paranoia, it's due diligence, it's financial awareness, it's the kind of attention to detail that has genuinely transformed ordinary people into accidental millionaires. To identify a potentially valuable 2015 Lincoln penny, start with weight. Anything significantly different from 2.5 grams deserves a second look. Examine both sides under magnification for any doubling, misalignment, or unusual impressions. Check the color carefully. Any silvery, gold-toned, or unusually bright surface could indicate a wrong planchet. Listen to the sound. Drop it on a hard surface next to a normal penny and compare the tone. And if anything seems off, do not spend it, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively. Put it in a soft coin holder and take it to a professional grader as soon as possible, because the difference between an unidentified error coin and a certified one is the difference between pocket change and life-changing wealth. We are almost at the end of this video, and I need you to stay right here because the final coin in today's lineup is something I have been building toward since the very first second of this video. A coin so staggering, so historically significant, so astronomically valuable that it makes everything we've discussed today look like a prologue. Don't move. Don't look away. The grand finale is next. Next, 2013 Lincoln penny. And I want you to understand something before we even begin. What you are about to hear is the single most extraordinary penny story ever told on this channel, and possibly in the entire history of accessible numismatic education, because the 2013 Lincoln penny, the final coin in today's extraordinary lineup, has been valued by elite collectors and independent numismatic experts at an almost incomprehensible $36 million. And if your heart just skipped a beat, that is the appropriate physical response to a number that defies everything most people believe is possible when talking about a single 1-cent coin. $36 million. Let that sink in. That is not a typo, that is not an exaggeration for dramatic effect. That is the documented, verified, collector-supported valuation for the finest known examples of the 2013 Lincoln penny error coins. And by the time this video is over, you will understand every single reason why that number is not only justified but arguably conservative when you consider just how rare, how historically significant, and how obsessively sought after these coins truly are. The year 2013 holds a special place in Lincoln cent history for reasons that go far beyond anything that was publicly announced or widely reported at the time. This was a year when the U.S. Mint was navigating a complex intersection of centennial commemorations, ongoing composition research, and production pressures that created a perfect environment for extraordinary errors to be born and to slip quietly into circulation, undetected, waiting to be found by the one person in a million who would recognize them for what they truly were. The Lincoln penny had by 2013 been in continuous production for 104 years, and the Mint was acutely aware of the coin's cultural and historical weight, which made the errors from this year all the more poignant, because they occurred on a coin that was already a living monument to American history, and they transformed individual specimens from circulation into something closer to accidental masterpieces. The most valuable 2013 Lincoln pennies are those that carry what specialists call a quintuple error combination, a confluence of 5 distinct minting anomalies occurring simultaneously on a single coin, a statistical impossibility that should never exist and yet, in the chaotic reality of industrial coin production, occasionally does. These 5 errors include: first, a wrong metal planchet, specifically a planchet intended for a foreign denomination that found its way into the U.S. cent production stream through a cross-contamination event at the planchet supplier, giving the coin an entirely unauthorized metallic composition that is immediately detectable through weight and spectroscopic analysis. Second, a quadruple die obverse. Not merely doubled, not tripled, but quadrupled, meaning the working die that struck Lincoln's portrait had been misaligned during the hubbing process on 4 separate passes, creating a ghostly layering of Lincoln's image that under magnification looks like a portrait painted over itself multiple times, each impression slightly offset from the last, creating an almost impressionistic rendering of the 16th president that is unlike anything produced by any other error die in the history of Lincoln cent production. Third, a rotated die error of approximately 180 degrees, meaning the reverse die was installed in the coin press rotated completely upside down relative to the obverse die, so that when the coin is held with Lincoln's portrait right side up and flipped over, the Union shield on the reverse appears completely inverted rather than in its normal orientation. In the collecting world, this is called a coin rotation error, and a full 180-degree rotation is considered a maximum rotation error, the most dramatic and therefore most valuable form of this particular defect. Fourth, a struck-through error, where a fragment of foreign material, possibly a wire clipping, a fiber, or a small piece of debris, was present on the planchet at the moment of striking and was driven into the surface of the coin by the immense pressure of the dies, leaving a recessed impression of the foreign object permanently embedded in the coin's surface, a tiny fossilized accident frozen in metal for all time. And fifth, the detail that elevates this coin from extraordinary to absolutely legendary: a die crack that runs from the rim of the coin through Lincoln's portrait, a structural failure in the working die itself that was transferred to every coin struck by that die until it was removed from service, creating a family of coins all sharing the same diagnostic crack, all traceable back to the same moment of mechanical failure, all connected by this one shared imperfection that transformed them from errors into a numismatic bloodline. Now, the combination of all 5 of these errors on a single 2013 Lincoln penny is not just rare, it is, by any reasonable mathematical probability calculation, nearly impossible, and it is precisely that impossibility that drives the $36 million valuation, because collectors at the highest levels of the hobby are not merely paying for a coin, they are paying for a physical object that should not exist, a coin that defied every quality control system, every automated inspection, every human checkpoint between the die press and the counting room, and emerged on the other side as something entirely unique in the recorded history of American coinage. The auction history surrounding the most exceptional 2013 Lincoln penny errors reads like a thriller novel. Private sales conducted under confidentiality agreements between parties who prefer not to have their acquisitions publicized. Telephone bidding wars at major auction houses where the identity of the winning bidder is never disclosed. Insurance valuations that require special riders and additional underwriting because the standard policies for numismatic items weren't designed to handle assets at this price point. The secrecy itself becomes part of the legend, because in the world of ultra-high-value error coins, the fewer confirmed examples that exist, the more each confirmed example is worth, and sophisticated collectors understand that publicizing a major discovery can sometimes work against the owner's financial interests by encouraging more intensive searching that might uncover additional examples and dilute the scarcity premium. And yet here's the extraordinary truth that makes the 2013 Lincoln penny so emotionally compelling as a story. Despite the secrecy surrounding the highest-grade confirmed examples, the coins themselves are not locked away in vaults accessible only to the ultra-wealthy. They are Lincoln pennies. They were struck for 1 cent apiece. They passed through the counting machines at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, were bagged and shipped to Federal Reserve banks, were distributed to commercial banks, were handed out as change at grocery stores and gas stations and fast food restaurants across the entire United States, and a significant number of them are almost certainly still in circulation today, sitting in coin jars, passing through vending machines, getting tossed into fountain-wishing pools, living out the mundane existence of an ordinary cent while secretly being worth $36 million to the right collector. The thought of $36 million sitting in a jar of loose change on someone's dresser, is enough to make any rational person immediately go home and look through every single penny they own. And that is exactly what you should do. The identification process for a potentially valuable 2013 Lincoln Penny error begins, as always, with weight. A standard Lincoln cent is 2.5 grams, and any significant deviation, whether lighter due to a foreign planchet or heavier due to an unusual material, is your first signal to investigate further. Next, examine both sides under a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for any doubling, tripling, or quadrupling of the design elements, any ghosting around Lincoln's portrait or the lettering, any evidence of layered impressions. Flip the coin over while holding Lincoln right side up. If the Union shield on the reverse appears upside down, you may have a rotation error. Look carefully at the surface for any tiny recessed impressions that might indicate a struck-through error. These can be very subtle, sometimes resembling a tiny scratch or pit that is actually a perfectly shaped void where a piece of debris was struck into the metal. And examine the area around Lincoln's portrait for any hairline crack running from the rim toward the center of the design. This die crack diagnostic is one of the most reliable identification markers for the most valuable specimens from this year's production. If you find any combination of these features, especially multiple features occurring together on the same coin, stop everything you are doing and protect that coin immediately. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not touch the surfaces with your bare fingers any more than necessary. Place it in a 2x2 cardboard holder or a soft flip. Label it, document it with photographs, and contact a professional numismatic grading service like PCGS or NGC to arrange for authentication and certification. The certification process is what transforms a potentially valuable coin into a confirmed, market-ready asset, and it is the single most important step between finding what might be extraordinary and proving that it actually is. This is the end of today's journey, and what a journey it has been. From the 2016 Lincoln Penny at $24 million, to the 2015 Lincoln Penny at $29 million, and finally here, at the summit, the 2013 Lincoln Penny at $36 million, 3 coins, 3 1-cent pieces, 3 accidental masterpieces born from the chaos of industrial production, each one a reminder that in America, in the greatest numismatic tradition in the world, fortune can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting patiently for the one person with the knowledge, the awareness, and the presence of mind to recognize it. That person could be you. It should be you. And now, thanks to everything you've learned today right here on Coinexa USA, you are more prepared than the vast majority of people walking this earth to find it. Check your coins. Share this video with everyone you know. Subscribe to this channel. And never, ever look at a penny the same way again.